Are live.
Yes.
How's it going?
It's going good.
It's so weird that we have to pretend like we weren't just talking a minute ago.
I know.
Like we have to
Well,
give the illusion that this is all happening like right now in the moment.
I know. I feel like I'm sort of used to like the awkwardness though of that because streaming for the past year, I feel like I'm almost at pro level.
I would say that you're pretty much a pro. You and Ash are pretty much pro status right now. You seem to have it down.
I feel like we just now finally got it. It was weird for like forever.
For how long? How when did you feel like you finally like worked your way into being normal with streaming?
Probably up until the last month.
And you've been doing it for a
Yeah.
long
And
time.
we have been doing it for a long time.
Like since pre-pandemic you were doing it.
Yeah, and that was it's just different because that felt like um we were just doing it to like 10 of our friends,
Right.
just hang out with 10 of our friends, and then now it's just like to 70 to 100 people
Which is pretty
that
awesome.
which is fun because I always picture it like we're just hanging out with friends in our kitchen.
Right.
And then I was like, "Whoa, there's like so many people in our kitchen." And it's like,
Well, normally you couldn't fit 70 people in your kitchen.
yeah.
So now you can bring everybody in.
Yeah, so it's nice, but it took forever. But it felt like I was like a host of a cooking show, which I don't think that I would be a good one
I don't
if
know,
it were a real cooking show.
but it is a real cooking show.
I mean, yeah, it is a real cooking show. I keep telling myself that it's not, but it is, I
It
guess.
it's totally a real cooking show.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
I
cooking.
yeah. I mean, how'd that come about though? Like what was the impetus to like start your own thing on Twitch of all places when it wasn't like a thing to be streaming on Twitch?
I don't know. I always wanted to have my own like not really cooking show, but just like a cooking stream. Just because cooking has always been like a hobby of mine.
Right.
So I would go live on Facebook and maybe Instagram sometimes, but he suggested we go on Twitch, and I had no idea about it. And it was hard at first because there was really nobody on there. So we would have to like convince our friends to sign up for Twitch and teach them how to use it and stuff like that.
Well,
But that's how it happened.
it's kind of a bizarre thing to like get used to in the beginning.
Yeah, it's really
Um
weird.
um so when things got going like when the pandemic got started, how did
hmm
it feel to like kind of be ahead of the game?
Um, well, we stopped for a little bit, and then once the pandemic happened, we were like, "Oh, this is a good time to bring it back." And yeah, we were like, "Oh, now everybody, we worked so hard just to get people on there, and now they're here. We should just do it." And it felt, I don't know, it was still tough. I feel like because it's cooking, and I feel like everybody was there for music,
Right.
so that was still sort of. It wasn't any easier, I don't think.
Well, I mean, you do a little bit of music.
hmm
There's what you call it. You do karaoke, which I can't complain
Yes.
about. Um is that something that's always been like, a part of your life? Is that something that you always like to do?
Yeah, I grew up with karaoke. I'm sort of obsessed with it. But we would always have it at house parties growing up. And me and my cousins, not even at house parties, just on a regular weekend with my cousins, we would all sit around the couch and then we would all just sing our favorite songs.
So did you have the laser discs growing up?
We did. Either that or like an awe like we went through so many different like what do you call that even? Like a DVD type player.
Yeah.
We I feel like we just kept getting new ones, so I don't remember.
So let's go back to cooking real quick.
Mhm.
I want to know who in your family you can credit for teaching you to love cooking.
It would be my grandma and my dad, for sure.
Did your grandma teach? Did they both teach you how to cook?
My dad forced me to learn how to cook. Like, he was just like I would be walking past the kitchen as he would be making dinner, and then he would just be like, "Hey," and then give me a knife and just like force me to like learn how to cook.
How
And then my grandma would just make us help out.
how young were you the first time you remember like actually helping with something in the kitchen?
Um, I would say maybe, I don't know, helping out maybe 10, 10 years old. I feel like when I first learned how to make papaya salad, that was like I was 9 or 10. Yeah.
Okay. And then like, what was the first thing do you remember learning how to cook, like by yourself?
That was definitely a spice. It's like a really funky dish. Um, it's actually a dip for green mango, and it's roasted rice powder, fish sauce, fermented fish sauce. It's like super funky, and that was the first thing I ever learned how to make. It's just like sweet, spicy, but that was the very first thing I learned how to cook at my grandma's house. My cousin taught me how to do it.
That actually sounds delicious.
It is.
I like fully flavored things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm weird because I'm allergic to seafood. But
Oh no, me too.
oh, really?
Yeah, just shrimp.
Yeah, I'm allergic to all of the water animals. But somehow I'm able to eat fish sauce.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's super weird. So anything with fish sauce in it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can gobble it up. But it makes me sad because I want to eat all the things and I can't.
Like literally like anything from the sea,
I
any
can eat.
living creature from the sea.
Yeah, I can eat seaweed because it's not
Mhm.
an animal. But all
Mhm.
of the water animals are a no go. Even freshwater fish, I'm like, it's
Oh.
all bad. It anaphylactic shock.
Oh man.
Like within minutes. I actually
Wow.
so I went on a cruise for the first time when I was in like high school, and
Mhm.
they had escargot, and I'm like,
Mhm.
great, I get to try something new. What they didn't list on the menu was that that it wasn't garden snail,
Mhm.
it was sea snail,
Oh
and
no.
and I loved it. So I ate mine, and I ate somebody else's, and I ate half of somebody else's, and then my throat started to close up. So I had to go to the emergency room. I had to go to the clinic on the boat.
That's the worst feeling.
It is. It is not a great way to find out that that they were serving that you like escargot, but that it's not always regular garden snail.
Yeah, and it's always trauma. It's like when you have an experience like that, it's traumatizing enough to make you never want to try
Yeah.
any
No.
seafood ever again.
Oh no, I don't. I stay far away from it for the most
Yeah.
part. Like I've had
Mhm.
some time in my life where I'm like, oh, maybe I should try again. I'm like, no, no, I don't want to
Yeah.
try.
Yeah, that's how I feel
Um,
towards shrimp.
how did you find out you were allergic to seafood? Because I know that's like a big part. That's like a big part of everybody's like cultural cooking. Like I feel like seafood was always around in my house too. How did you find
Yeah.
out you were allergic?
So it just slowly developed over time. Like in my late 20s, I would just my lips would get sort of itchy, but
Yeah.
it was never that bad. And then one day I wanted to make kawaiibi, the little small Japanese fried shrimp. Have you ever had that before? With the
No.
shell on. Yeah,
Oh,
so I was like, "Ooh, let me have this or let me try it for the first time." And I did. You have to eat it with the shell on.
right.
And literally 20 minutes later, I almost went into um I almost had to go to the ER, but I stayed home because I didn't have health insurance and I was
Oh,
broke.
America.
Yeah, it was awful. So I like got hives. I was throwing up for like 5 hours straight. I almost couldn't breathe. My throat closed up pretty much.
Oh God.
Um, it lasted for 5 hours. Like Benadryl didn't help, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm allergic." But I think it's the shell, not the
Oh,
actual
okay.
meat of the
Not the
shrimp.
actual meat of the shrimp. Okay,
But I
that
don't want
makes
to find
sense.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, no, you probably should just say clear, steer clear.
yeah.
So, in other food related things, like I noticed that you do a lot of Lao cooking.
Hmm.
And that's like a really big part of just your background. Your background is a big part of your life. Um, why do you think it's important that you share those recipes with everybody?
Because it's so underrepresented.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people think that they're eating Thai food because like there's like a little region of Thailand that used to be part of Laos, and now it just gets lumped into, it's called Isan,
Yeah.
and that's like the country part of Thailand. which is 80% ethnically Lao. So it just sort of be like everyone's like, oh, it's Thai food. It's country Thai food. But no, it's actually Laos food. And I feel like I just get so offended. So I feel like it's like my duty to like let people know, what Laos food is. Like, well, hey, we exist.
So you've become kind of a cultural ambassador.
Sort of.
Is that something you wanted to take on?
Not really. I just enjoy the food, to be honest. Like, if I had to choose my last meal, it would be papaya salad, beef jerky, Lao sausage, sticky rice,
That
just
sounds
whatever, I grew up eating.
that sounds delicious.
It's
All
the
of it.
best food in the world.
I
It's
want
so good.
I want to eat all of the food.
Have
And
you had
then
Lao food before?
I have. I live in the Bay Area,
Oh, yeah.
which has like one of the largest like Southeast Asian populations like outside of Southeast Asia. So I grew up on Filipino, Thai, Lao food. Like all of that was just part of my upbringing. And there's
Mhm.
like restaurants for everything around here, so it's really really like prevalent. It's easy to find.
Mm.
We do also a lot of Cambodian food
Yes.
and Vietnamese food. Um, so yeah, I'm super familiar. I am one of the people that know that Laos is a country.
Yay, that's awesome. Oh, I feel like I have to apologize. I feel like I couldn't hear myself talking for the first just up until this point.
Yeah.
And when you can't hear yourself talking, you sound weird.
Yes.
But I sound weird.
No, you didn't sound weird. You sounded like you. You didn't have like a Kermit the Frog voice or anything.
I have to do, I had to adjust my headphones.
Are you
All
good now?
better.
All
Yes,
right,
all
cool.
good.
Um, so speaking of your Lao background, how long has your family been in the United States?
For about 40 years now.
Okay,
So
so
mhm.
they came over pretty early.
Is it about 40 years?
I
Maybe
guess 40. That's
45
the 70.
years.
Like, oh,
Yeah, the late
that's
70s,
I'm dating myself because now I just think
early.
40 years is not that long ago, and it's actually a
Oh,
long time ago. And I'm just like, oh wait, now I'm just that old.
yeah, it is. It is I guess it's really not that long ago. I mean,
No,
it's not. But yeah, my family came here as refugees in the late 70s, late like 79, something like that.
and
Around then, yeah.
how'd your family end up in Atlanta?
So it's a long story, but to make it short, we got sponsored by, or they got sponsored by, a really sweet Southern Baptist couple who it was like through their church and they wanted to help out.
Yeah.
And they sponsored my family to come here, like met my grandparents and all my aunts and uncles. There were my grandparents and 7 kids, and they
Wow.
just came with the clothes on their back, and they met them at the airport. And then they became, like, lifelong family members of ours, even though we're completely opposite.
But they're still part of your family.
Yeah, well, they're passed away. They're not here anymore,
Oh
unfortunately,
wow.
but yeah, they're I consider them my grandparents.
That's such a blessing to have people like that in your life.
Mhm,
Especially when you're coming to like a world like that you have no idea where anything is, and like there's like trauma in your
mhm.
background to like be accepted into like a community in a sense and feel like
Mhm.
there's people out there that are really looking out for you.
I
That's
know.
it's so special.
I know. I feel like she's one of my heroes for sure, both of them. But I feel like we also learned something from each other because they did it through, like, trying to spread the word of Jesus, I feel
Right.
like. And then we were just like, "No, we don't," because they would always try to get us to go to church,
Right.
and eventually they were just like, "Yeah, these people are unsalvageable." But, like, we just accepted each other for who we were,
Well, I think that way
and I think it's
maybe you
awesome.
taught them an important lesson about hey, maybe
Mhm.
you don't need religion to be a good person.
Yes, I exactly. I feel like that's exactly what we got out of it.
um, and did they were they always around in your life, like until they passed away?
Always. Yes, she was in um, the room when I came into the world at the hospital, at Grady Hospital. Yeah, here in
Wow,
Atlanta. Yeah,
that's
because my
crazy.
it's sort of crazy because my mom came here from Hong Kong, and she got knocked up by my dad, and I guess her parents weren't really into that because she had to drop out of college, and my dad was Laotian,
Right.
and they were poor, like, my dad's family was really poor, so she I guess my mom felt like she couldn't go back, and I felt like she maybe felt like she didn't have any family, and my dad's side was crazy,
Yeah.
like, just loud, living in the hood, South Atlanta,
Right.
and I don't know, she just I feel like she looked up to I call her Grand Jan as, like, her mom, like, her second mom.
Yeah. Wow, that's so amazing. Like
Mhm.
she didn't just take in one family, she kind of took in like an extra family member
Yes.
like out of the goodness of her heart.
Mhm. Yeah, and she was never able to have kids because she had polio.
Really?
So, yeah, she always called my dad her son, and I was her granddaughters, like, all me and my sisters. Specifically my dad, because he was him and her just had a connection, and all the other kids, all my aunts and uncles, like, everyone was really close, but my
Right.
dad was, like, the chosen one almost. But with they lived right down the street from each other.
So they were all like they were really
It
always
was
around.
almost like a neighborhood, yeah. Yeah. It was almost like a village. I feel like I was raised by a village.
I think that's important. I think
Mhm,
it's
it
super
is.
important. I have an 8-year-old
Mhm,
and we have it's actually an extension of our rave family.
mhm.
There's people that
Ah,
I went to parties with like when I was younger, and we all had kids around the same time, and now we're all raising our kids together because they're all really close in age. So
oh, that's
I think
awesome.
it's really important to have a community, whether or not
Mhm,
they're like your family or the people you choose to be your family. It's important to have a community around to
mhm,
for all of the things, not just like raising your kids, but for everything.
mhm. It is.
Um, and on that subject, community is something that's obviously super important to you.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like you and Ash have kind of built that around the Psycho Disco family. Like
Oh,
there's a community of artists there, and it's something
mhm.
I've talked to other people about in dance music. Why is it so important that you guys see the people that you work with as a community and not just like coworkers or industry contacts or what have you?
I don't know, it just you need that camaraderie, I feel like. But I feel like just being it's almost like being hospitable, like, if people are coming into your house, you're going to, 1, offer them water,
Right.
2, see if, like, that's a first thing, and then I don't know, I feel like anybody that you associate with in your w whatever you're trying to do, I feel like you have to it's important to build a good relationship, treat them like family.
Right.
Um, I don't know, it just sort of just makes everybody's mood a little better. It's just if I were I'm not a producer, but if I were a producer, I always view it as if like that. Like, if I was a producer and I was joining a label, I would want somebody to, like, reach out to me and be like, "Hey, come like, you're a part of the family now, and if you need anything, let me know." Like, I don't ever try to be, like, standoffish or anything
Right.
just to make it seem like I have, like, the upper hand. I'm not that kind of person. I don't know, it's just, like, the kind of people that we are. I don't think there's no strategy behind it.
That makes sense. You guys seem very approachable though.
Mhm.
Even in your online presence, you both seem like you're easy people to talk to, which I think is important because when you like sit in a position where you're able to do things for people, a lot of the times it
Mhm,
makes people feel like, oh, I don't know if I can talk to them about things, or I don't know if I can
mhm,
just like hit them up and be like and ask them a question. So I think
Hmm.
it's really special that you guys seem so approachable.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel like like it's really not that serious.
No,
Like
it's not.
this should just be fun. I feel like people just like life in general, people take things way too seriously.
No
And
shit.
it's like, yeah, getting the opportunity to meet all of these artists and make new friends. I just think that's awesome.
How did you get into dance music? Like what made you fall in
Mm,
love with it initially?
probably being with being married to Ash, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, being married to him. Like my first experience with dance music was in 2009. I went to a Dead Mouse concert. That was the very first, like here in Atlanta, when I was in college.
Yeah.
Tickets were like $20. And I would go to parties occasionally here and there, but I was never really into it until like me and Ash got together,
That's
which
interesting.
was in 2013. Yeah, I feel like I'm always like I dip my toe in like so many toes in like so many different like things, genres of music, and I feel like dance music for me was like 2012-ish, 2013.
So it was fairly like later in your life that you got into
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Well, how'd you actually meet Ash? I met my wife at a rave.
Oh, yeah, I
And
remember.
and I this is like 16 years ago, and
Mhm.
we've been married we've been married all like since like a year and a half after we met.
Oh,
So it's always
wow.
interesting to me like when I see people that have actually like met their life partner
Mhm.
out of through the scene. Like how did that
Mhm.
happen?
Um, well, we had a lot of mutual friends, but he actually hit me up on Twitter one day, and he like slid in my DMs and was like, "Hey, do you want to go to MJQ with me?" And I had just gone through a really bad breakup at the time, and the dude actually cheated on me. So I was just like in party mode,
Yeah.
and the only reason why I said yes to this random stranger was because he had a check mark. And I was like, he's a verified person. And if he's weird, I can call him out and people will be like, oh no. But um, yeah, so I was just like, yeah, let's do it. So I met him at a club here called MJQ, where I used to always go to this party called Sloppy Seconds.
That's
Um,
the best name for a party.
yeah, I know. It's awesome. The party is so fun. Um, but yeah, that was the first time we met. And yeah, we that was in 2013.
That's a bold move hitting up somebody on Twitter.
Yeah, it was a bold move and he's not even like that. I don't know it was because I think we were both in party mode at that
Okay.
time. Yeah, cuz he just went through a bad breakup too. But
And
we're
did you
just so chill. Like both of us we're like just chill people, so it's like funny how that happened.
did it like click right away? Um
No.
or did you my wife played the game of like okay, I feel like I like you, but I'm going to keep you at arm's length for a
Mhm. Oh,
while
yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
because
Mhm.
cuz cuz you're just that dude and I don't know.
Yep. I did that too, and plus you're a DJ, so you have that going for you.
Keeping it real.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so I did the same exact thing to him, and I think we were both just sorta like robots because when you get cheated on, you're like scared. You're like a scared puppy to date again. So that's how I was, and then he was like probably like that too. So he actually broke up with me like maybe a couple months in and he was just like, I don't think that you like me and I was just sort of like hard to read, I guess, because I acted like I didn't like him just to play it safe. And then I wrote him
Right.
a 4-page letter and I was like crying in my room and there's like tear marks on the letter. He
Oh my
still has
god, you got
it, but I was just like, it was a lot.
y'all
It
got a
was
real love story.
I mean, I guess.
There's like drama and intrigue and
I wasn't, but I wrote the letter because I didn't want to be broken up with. It wasn't because I loved him. It was just like the first time someone broke up with me, and I was a little brat.
well, aren't you glad you did it though?
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. Like,
Yep.
it's
It's
funny
like when,
how.
sorry, I keep cutting
No,
it.
go ahead.
It's like when you, I feel like it's like you have more time to get to know that person. I feel like it was like a really slow at first,
Yeah.
but we became friends. Like we definitely became friends first. And then the relationship just sort of blossomed. 2 years later, I feel like.
I think that's an important distinction to make, though. I mean,
Hmm.
me and my wife got together and we moved really quickly, but we established like a really strong friendship first.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Hmm.
and I think that's like an important thing to do. I feel like people rush into relationships real fast, and then
Hmm.
things go south just as
Yeah.
fast. And if you're not sure that you can even like hang out with the person,
Hmm. Yeah,
um,
exactly. Yeah.
and be like friendly with them, like you have to be friends first. It can't all just be I'm passionate about this person. There's got to be like a foundation of friendship there.
Hmm. That's important.
It's super important. So like after you wrote him a 4-page letter and sealed it with a kiss, um, you guys got married around EDC week.
Yes, we did. That was so fun.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like, I know he was like booked to play. Did you guys decide that this was going to be the thing after you found out he was going to play at EDC, or was it like something that you guys wanted to do?
It was after, because I never wanted to have a wedding like that. I just feel like coming from an Asian family like me, like feelings,
Right.
you, like, I just don't want to make a public display of my love in front of my family members. Like, that's just weird. And I have a huge family too. So
Right.
I never wanted a wedding. So we always talked about just getting eloped in Vegas. And then once he got booked, this was in 2017, we were just like, oh, we should just get married there. It was like nothing special, I don't think. It was just like, that's a fun place to do it. So yeah, we got married in this little chapel and it smelled like cat piss.
Holy
But it was
shit.
like it was with five of our friends it was the day after he played. So um I feel like all five of our friends were hungover, and that we had our little reception, and then we got really high, and then we went to a buffet and
That
ate.
yes, you have to take advantage of the buffet in Vegas.
Yes, it was really good. I still think about it.
You still think about the buffet?
Hmm.
Which one did you go to?
Yeah, so I forgot. I don't remember the name of it, but it was just really good quality buffet.
I'm actually
Lobster tails.
I'm surprised by the quality of buffet food in Vegas. It's
Me
actually
too.
like professionally prepared. It doesn't taste like it was just boiled in a
Hmm.
sack and tossed in.
Yeah.
It actually tastes like good food. Like
Yes.
that's the one thing we always do the day after the first day at EDC
Hmm.
is go to a buffet cuz you got to recharge for not eating again for the next 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like you got to take advantage of it while you're there too, because they don't have any. I feel like it's just like a part of the Vegas culture.
Yeah.
Um, Mega fancy buffets like that.
Everything's got to be big. Everything's got to
Hmm.
be
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
everything's got to take up like 7 rooms
Hmm.
and has to be bigger than you've ever seen it anywhere else.
Hmm. Yeah. That's Vegas for sure.
Um so I'm going to switch gears a little bit and I'm going
Hmm.
to ask you a question about I was a choir geek and you were actually in band
Hmm.
and you played the mellophone and I actually had
Hmm.
to look up what a mellophone was cuz I had no idea.
I don't know why it exists.
I it's like a French horn, right?
It's like a trumpet.
Okay, it's like a trumpet.
It's like a deeper trumpet,
Is it
deeper sounding trumpet.
it looked like it was curved in the pictures. Did I get it wrong?
Oh,
No?
mm,
Or is it a straight one?
it looks just like a trumpet, but
Oh,
bigger.
okay. Well, then I was
Yeah.
completely wrong. Apparently still didn't know what a mellophone was.
Hmm.
Um, was
Nobody does.
and and you also played the piano when you were younger too.
Yeah, I played the piano, sort of. I sort of taught myself how to play it, so I'm not really good at playing like reading music. I can read I can't read bass clef, so that's why it's hard for me to read piano sheet music.
Okay.
Um, so I pretty much just taught myself, and I can just play a few things here and there.
So
But yeah,
so they weren't things that like your parents forced you into. They were you decided that you wanted to learn instruments.
yes. But then I only took lessons for maybe about a couple weeks. I told my parents I just wanted to learn piano,
Yeah.
and then I quit. I told them I didn't want to do it anymore because I had to practice. And I was like, I don't want to do that.
You just wanted to know how to do the thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to like immediately learn how to play good music without practicing.
Yeah, it doesn't really work that
Um,
way.
yeah, I know. And I was like 6. I was
Oh,
like 6 or
okay.
7, yeah.
Oh,
But
that's totally like right on path with the age. My
mhm.
we've put my son in various things, and anytime it goes past like 4 or 5 lessons, he's like, "Yeah, no, I don't want to do that anymore. It's boring."
Yeah.
So, how did you
Um,
decide on the mellophone though? Because that's a bizarre instrument to land on.
um, well, mellophone is for people who play French horn,
Yeah.
but you can't march with French horn. So I think that they just made us an instrument or something. I don't know why it even exists. But yeah, because like the French horn is so weird. So it's like you march with whatever instrument you play in symphonic band.
Right.
So that's just how I got they were like, "You can't march with French horn, so you're gonna march with a mellophone." And I was like, "Okay, it's fine." And it's actually, like, very simple because it is like a trumpet. All the notes are the same, and I played the trumpet too.
Right.
Yeah, so I played the trumpet first, and then we had no French horn players, so the band teacher said, "Whoever wants to do the French horn, I'll love you forever." And I was like, "Oh, I'll do it." So I was the one French horn player, and that's how that's how I, marched mellophone, I guess. You don't
And
get to choose.
it just happened. And then
Mhm.
also, you were telling me earlier that the T-shirt that you're wearing is a band T-shirt.
Yes, so I actually got this with Baby Weight when Baby Weight came to Atlanta a couple weeks ago. We went
Oh, nice.
shopping. We went vintage store or what is it called? We went to a vintage warehouse store, and it says, "I partied in room 514, band trip," and it has the 4 names of the girls who were in that room. And yeah, I want to find them. I want to post about it on Reddit. This was in '96.
That's you should find those people. You have to
I
find those
know.
people.
I know. I want to. They're probably like middle, like in their probably early
They're in
mid
the
40s.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
brother graduated in '96.
Yeah.
So and he's 4.5 years older than me. I I'm not going to tell you when I started high school, but but yeah, they're probably in their mid 40s now, and I'm sure they'd be interested. Some one of them would be interested to know that their T-shirt ended up with another band geek.
I know, because there's only 4 of them. There's only 4 of these shirts. I feel so honored to have one of them.
That's so crazy. I wonder if the other 3 shirts are one of them is still sitting in somebody's closet somewhere.
Probably. I feel like one of these 4 had to like definitely keep it as just like a token of their childhood
Right?
or high school years.
Or what if the person who gave it away hates the other 3 girls now?
Oh yeah, I would love that. I need to
And
find out.
and like you find out and she tells you she's like it's really painful actually. I wish you hadn't brought it up.
Oh no, I would be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I did this."
So, you said your dad is really important to you, right?
Mhm. He
Um
is.
and you said that he taught you to embrace your individuality.
Mhm.
How did he encourage that?
Um, well, one I feel like I was just always the odd kid out in school, and it started off because um they enrolled me in a Christian school and we weren't even Christian.
No
And this was
way.
in first grade. It was in first grade, and um, I had to like, as a first grader, I had to pretend that I went to church. I had a church and I had a pastor because I wanted to like fit in with everybody. So people
Yeah.
would always be like, "Oh, I did this at church." And I remember one girl asked me who my pastor was, and I made up a name. Yeah, and then I remember like asking my parents, like, I was so conflicted, like, why don't we go to church? And what's gonna happen when we die? Like, are we gonna go to hell? And he would always just tell me like not to worry about stuff like that. And I think it started from that. Like I would always just sort of get picked on, and I would like ask my dad. Like I also couldn't make friends. So I would ask him, "How do you make friends?" And he would just be like, "You don't need friends. Just do what I do." And I'm like, "But you have friends." But that he always just made me just told me to just, be yourself, whatever, who cares what other people think.
That's a really
Um,
great lesson to learn so
yeah.
early.
I know, and it was, like, such a harsh like, why would you put your child through that? But, I mean, I don't know, they were new. They were new to this country, so I give
Well,
them a pass.
my parents weren't my parents were American, but they still put me in a Christian school starting in preschool. I went from Christian school from preschool to fourth grade, and
Oh.
but neither one of them is Christian. They're both
Mhm.
Buddhists. They
Oh.
grew up. My dad grew up Catholic, and my mom grew up Methodist, like in the black church. And they
Mhm.
somehow
Oh my
that's
gosh.
actually how they met. They met at like a meeting. And they both ended up being Buddhists, like sometime in the 70s, and they
What?
sent me and my brother to a Christian school until we were fourth grade.
See? It's so weird.
It is weird, and actually, it's funny. My wife, same thing. Her
Mhm.
parents, they're like hippies. They're
Mhm.
they're they're into like meditation and like channeling and all of this crazy stuff. And they sent her and her brother to a Christian school too
Mhm.
until they were like in junior high school.
Mm.
I just don't get it.
I don't get it either.
It's such a bizarre choice to make when you know that there's some amount of indoctrination that goes on there, but they're just
Mhm.
like, oh, I guess I just wanted you guys to have a really good education.
Yeah, that's what my parents say. Because I've asked my mom about it recently, and she was just like, "Yeah, we just better schools." And it really wasn't. I only went there for 2 years, and then we went to public school, but also being the only Asian in all of my classes ever, I feel like that just sort of taught me how to embrace my individuality, I guess. Like, I would always ask my dad for advice as a kid,
Yeah,
um, like how to make friends, and I always thought it was because I was only Asian and there was no one else that looked like me.
right.
So and it might have been, or it might have been because I was just really weird. But I think I just, like I don't know, I always looked up to my parents. So I was like, "Well, if they say it's fine, then I guess it's fine."
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I grappled with that too.
Mhm,
I mean, it was the 80s when I was going to a private school,
mhm,
and at the time, like having a mixed race kid wasn't necessarily like super prevalent, even in the Bay
mhm.
Area. Like you didn't see a lot of mixed
Mm,
race kids, so I'm like culturally ambiguous.
mhm.
So having like a bit of an identity crisis that young, and also being in a place where you don't necessarily understand like I didn't get religion, like,
Mhm.
because I didn't see that at home.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, so that is kind of weird. It kind of forces like an identity crisis in you. But
Yeah, it does, and at such a young age too.
how did you get over that? Like, when did you finally start to embrace your weird?
Um, I don't know, I just had a really hard time trying to figure that out. Because even with my family, since, I was raised by a Laotian family, but my mom's from Hong Kong, so I'm half Chinese,
Right.
but I wasn't raised by that side. Like, they're all her family members are all in Hong Kong still. And my mom sort of just became, like, an honorary Laotian, I guess, just being, like growing up with my dad's side of the family at from the early age of, like, her early 20s, maybe when she was 20, she, like, moved in with them, and I don't know. I feel like with my family, there was even like I feel like they put that on me, like my
Right.
aunts, because they're sort of loud, and I don't know, they all sort of have mental issues. Like, not in a bad way, but they're just they
Emotional?
just speak their mind.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, just, like, coming here, like, they've been through a lot,
Yeah, absolutely.
being through war and, like, coming here with the clothes on their back, but they would always be like, "Well, you're just half Laotian, you're not a full Laotian, you're actually a mutt." Like, they would tell me
Oh,
that,
that's
and
hard.
I know, and I would be, like, really young. I would be, like, 5 when
That's
I would hear these things.
that's too much to lay at the feet of like a baby.
I know, and these were just their jokes. They were just jokes. But, like, when you're that age, it causes a major identity crisis. I don't know how I got over it. I think I've always just struggled with it,
Yeah.
but I think I would say maybe in my mid-20s, maybe even late 20s is when I finally was just like, "Whatever, I'm American." Like,
Right.
I'm just American. I don't know what you want me to say, like, I had to, like, tell myself that all the time in my head. Like, just, "You were born here."
Yeah.
Like, you know, and you were raised by a Laotian family, so, there's those 2 cultures, but you're just whatever you're you're Molly from Atlanta. Like, I
I
don't.
think well, I think that's an interesting thing too, is because
Mhm,
when you grow up like American, but what people see
mhm,
is something is what they see. It's something
mhm,
different. So like I'm culturally ambiguous, but I'm definitely not white passing.
mhm, yeah,
So people see a black guy.
mhm,
And for you, people see an Asian woman.
mhm,
And I think it's interesting when like your actual personality is a little bit at odds with like what people see.
mhm.
Um, and I think even for you, I think that's kind of begun to present itself more in like recent months because of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And I know it's a tough subject to bring up. But how have you like learned to like deal with that, or just learn to like look past it and be like, okay, well, I am who I am, and that's just what it is, and fuck what everybody else thinks.
When did I come to that conclusion?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't even know what may have caused it. Like, I feel like I'm there.
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's just like a gradual it's been like a super gradual thing. Sometimes I would be like in my early 20s, I would be very in tune with my Laotian side.
right,
And then for like maybe like a year or two. And then the next year, I would be super in tune with my American side and then just sort of like reject the Lao side. And then I would be super in tune with my mom's side, which I knew nothing about, but the Chinese side,
yeah,
sort of like trying to learn about it. And then I feel like it just sort of gets exhausting.
yeah.
It gets exhausting after a while. So it's just like, um, I don't know. I don't know what caused me to come. I think it's just like getting older and just realizing that none of that matters. I mean, yes, it matters to get to know where you come from,
Right.
but to, I don't know. I don't think I've ever really thought about it like that. But I'm here now and I think I've finally just accepted the fact that I am who I am and I don't have to try to be anyone else. Because there was always the internal struggle of, am I Laotian enough?
Yeah.
Or am I American enough? Or Chinese enough? But yeah, I guess the older you get, the less you care
That's
about
totally true.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I sometimes I look at my mom and I'm like, she's just who she is and she does not give a shit. And she's still
Mhm.
nice and everything, but the older you get, the less fucks you give.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I feel like
Um
that's just what it was, just giving no fucks anymore.
um you definitely do embrace your Lao culture though. You did
Mhm, I
like
do. Mhm.
an all Lao music DJ set, which
Mhm.
was fucking awesome. Can you
Oh,
talk
thank
about
you.
like what inspired it was like it was a year ago, right?
Hmm.
What inspired you to do that and how'd you put it all together?
I honestly was just really sad and feeling really down at the time because of the pandemic, and then um, I I feel like the racism,
Yeah.
everyone could feel it,
Yeah.
and I just sort of just wanted to be with my people. And Loud New Year is the biggest event for any Laotian American, and it's definitely a huge part of our culture. And that was something that I always look forward to every year. Growing up, we would always go, and you have water fights. There's really good food, and then there's community and culture, and you see um, there's performances. Every Laotian person is there, so you just get to really be one with your community.
Yeah.
And this was the first time that it wasn't ever going to happen. I was like so upset about it. So I just really wanted to do something, and naturally, I thought of doing a DJ set of showcasing all of our music, and I don't know, it was just really fun.
Where'd you get all the music from? Is it stuff that you already had or did you have to go searching for some of it?
It was stuff that I had, and then I had to search for more because I wanted to just do it for one day. I just wanted to do one stream to see what it was like,
Yeah.
and it sort of popped off. And this was on Facebook, so this was before they banned any DJ streams.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of Laotian, like so many random people were tuning in, and it was sort of heartwarming. Um, so I was like, oh, I got to do this again because that was the first stream. I didn't know how it was going to go, but the number just kept ramping up. It was like as I was DJing. So I looked over, and then Ash told me, he was like, there's 175 people watching you. And I was like, "Wow, that's awesome." And they were all shouting out the cities that they were viewing from, and I was like, "Ooh, I need more music because I should do this tomorrow and the next day." Just, like, make it like a weekend thing.
How cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. So I went on YouTube and had to just rip music off of there because it's really hard to find Laotian music.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's really hard. And, um, yeah, that's how I got it off the
Nice.
YouTube.
Off the YouTube.
Yeah.
And speaking of like curation, you've also done some curation for Psycho Disco.
Mhm.
Psychic FM.
Mhm.
The show, I maybe people don't know, but that all of that was curated by you.
It was.
What's it like to take on something like that on a regular basis to like curate
Mhm.
music for a show and to like seek out music that maybe people haven't heard of? Like,
Mhm.
um, why was it important for you to do something like that? But then what's it like to be, in charge of like putting something like that together?
Well, I did it because, um, Treasure Fingers, who I call Ash, he
Yeah.
had so much on his plate that I felt like it was almost just like, "Here, just let me do it because I can do a not better job, but a better job since you're" like, it was to him, it was like, "Oh, no, I have to do this," and it was like a last minute thing, and
Right.
I'm like, since I don't have too much on my plate like you do, juggling Treasure Fingers and Psycho Disco, I was like, "I can just do it." So he taught me how to, um, you know, could put the radio show together, or the radio mix together,
Yeah.
and, I don't know, I enjoyed doing it. I haven't done it in a minute, but, um, I had so much fun doing it. Just, I think it was the part that I enjoyed most was going through all of the music and just, getting to know artists' sounds.
Yeah.
That's the part that I enjoyed the most because I don't know. I feel like it's been so long. I don't remember the last episode that I did. I feel like it was a year ago.
Yeah, it's been about a year.
Mhm.
Is it something
But
you is it something you think you'd ever bring back?
yeah, I've always wanted to do that. Probably, um, I don't know. I don't know when. I've always told myself that I'm gonna bring it back, but I don't know when exactly. 'Cause the food thing is sort of a lot right now. My
Yeah, for
pop-ups and
sure.
mhm,
That's right. You're doing pop-ups too. How are
mhm,
those going? I know you. One of them you sold out completely, or you've
mhm.
been selling out pretty consistently for all of them.
Well, I only did 1 pop-up,
Right.
1 legit pop-up, and that one sold out. That was insane. It was such an adrenaline rush, to actually, create your own menu, be the chef in a kitchen, and have customers, like, line up for your food.
Yeah.
Um, but then the second one I did, it was just for the we were just raising money. It was like a bunch of restaurants and pop-ups that came together
Yeah.
to raise money for, the violence against Asian Americans.
Yeah.
Um, that was fun. We sold out of that one, but it wasn't really, like, to make a profit or anything like that. It was just, like, everyone is just gonna cook food and get together in a parking lot, um, and, just do a good thing for the community. But I, I do sell food on the weekends
That's
from my
right.
house. Yeah. Some underground shit, but but I do sell out.
That's super cool though.
Mhm.
Like, so going into the pandemic, did you see yourself here, like actually like cooking for people outside of the home and like kind of turning your passion into a profession?
Um, Not really. I don't I feel like I'm so, like, almost, like, tunnel visioned, or everything I do is just for the moment.
Yeah.
I don't really do it's like because I genuinely just like it.
Yeah.
And then it just happens sometimes, if I'm good at whatever I'm doing, it just happens to turn into something bigger than what I wasn't expecting. That's how I feel like these pop-ups happened.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what a pop-up was until my friend told me that you should do a pop-up, and I was like, "What's a pop-up?" I didn't even know what I was like, "How would I go about it?" Like, "What do you mean I just set up a little stand at the restaurant?" And it's like he had to school me on the whole pop-up culture.
That's cool though. You have got a
Mhm,
chance to try something new.
mhm.
Would you say you're impulsive in that way?
Yeah, I'm impulsive, and I dive headfirst into projects and things that I'm interested in without really thinking about the repercussions.
I guess that ends up being a good thing sometimes.
Mhm,
A lot
yeah.
of the time.
Mhm, I mean, yeah, a lot of the time, because I do care about what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I do put a lot of thought into, or not, maybe not a lot of thought, but a lot of energy. And, energy, momentum,
Right.
that is sort of what you need to, almost some of the recipes for success, I guess. Not all of them, you need more. But yeah, where were we?
We're talking about your impulsivity.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm so opposite. Me and Ash are so opposite, 'cause he'll sort of procrastinate because he wants every little detail to be perfect,
Right.
and I'm the opposite. So, pros and cons.
I think it's important in a relationship to have that kind of balance though.
Mhm,
Um, one person is always measures everything and another person that kind of just dives first into things.
mhm.
You can't be exactly the same on everything.
Oh, yeah. You
Otherwise
can't.
nothing would get done.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we're complete opposites.
That's a good thing.
Mhm.
So we're getting close to the end, so I want to do a speed round with you.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is ask you a bunch of questions, and you just have to give me the answer really fast. They're not all. Some of them are either or, and some of them are like straight up questions.
Mhm.
And for everybody watching, I have not told you what these questions are.
Okay.
So you ready?
Mhm.
All right, let's go. Pho or ramen?
Pho.
Indian curry or Thai curry?
Indian curry.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
What do you do with cooked sticky rice?
You eat it.
What if it's left over? Do you put it in the refrigerator?
You leave it out. Definitely don't put it in the refrigerator. That is the worst thing that you can do
Why?
because it just gets hard.
Oh,
Like,
that's not
it
good.
just gets really hard. Like sushi, right? You don't put sushi in the fridge
That's true.
overnight.
That's true. Finish the sentence. Before I die, I want to.
Delete all of my social media accounts.
That's good.
I don't wanna leave no digital footprints. I don't want anybody talking about me 100 years from now.
I would have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Tacos or burritos?
Tacos.
Snow or beach?
Beach.
Favorite character on The Office?
Ah, Michael. Michael Scott.
Lakes or ocean?
Ocean.
If you could have one superpower, would you choose flight or invisibility?
Invisibility.
House or techno?
Techno.
Drum and bass or trap?
Drum and bass for sure.
Pop or hip hop?
Hip hop.
Biggie or Tupac?
Do I have to answer that?
Yes.
Tupac?
All right. All right. I'll give you a pass because you're from Atlanta.
Okay, thank you.
Favorite color?
I don't have one.
Interesting.
Hmm
Carl Cox
That
or Carl Cox or Chris Lake?
Carl Cox.
Because you said techno before. Flip flops or shoes?
Shoes. I'm
And
not a savage. Exposed toes. Heck
Oh
no.
shit. Never exposed toes, no?
Sometimes, I mean, yeah, if the time is right,
But
I guess.
but in general you want to cover them shits up.
Yes, cover them up. Nobody wants to see your feet.
It's true, feet are gross.
I mean, what's crazy is they're actually cleaner than our fingers, than our hands.
That's because they're not touching things all the time.
They're not touching things, but
But
something about them.
I
There's
mean,
just,
they're weird looking.
yeah, they're weird looking, and
Yeah. No.
um, nobody wants to see.
No.
I don't know, especially. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
All right. And then last question, guilty pleasure TV show.
Oh, guilty pleasure TV show. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't even think. My mind is blank right now. Um, anything Forensic Files or
Nice.
Cheaters.
Ooh, Cheaters. I haven't seen
Yeah.
that in forever. That show is amazing.
It's so bad, but so scripted, but so funny and entertaining if you just view it like that
Right? It's so
from
obviously
that
fake, but you're
perspective.
just like, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'd like to thank you for being on today. It's been a lot of fun.
It was. That
Yeah,
time flew.
it
Time
really did.
went by so fast.
We're gonna be rating to Subset because he's
hmm
on right now. But before I go, I just want to let everybody. Can you tell everybody where we can find you on the interwebs before you delete it all?
Yes. Sal Hennyshot, SAO Hennyshot. Sal means Miss in Laotian. So
On all the
that's me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm not ever on Facebook like
nobody
that,
is.
really. Yeah. I'm trying to deactivate it soon, but just Twitter and Instagram. And then on Twitch, it's just Hennyshot.
Nice,
hmm
awesome. My name is Alex Amaro. This is Sal Hennyshot. This has been House Philosophy. We're here every Thursday from 1 to 2 Pacific and 4 to 5 Eastern. We are going to be rating a subset pretty soon. So go ahead and send it, y'all. You guys have a great day.
Bye. Thank you for having
Bye.
me.
Thank you for being on.